Buddy, it's 3 o'clock, and now
Woo!
thank you for tuning into the bonus Stuck at Home program. And now I am joined by my scheduled guest that I got to meet one time. I've known about him for so long. Out of my hometown, Des Moines, Iowa. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the fantastic Bill Blank. How are you, Bill?
Good. Can you see me? Because I'm refreshing on my screen. Oh, there we go. I can see myself now. I'm doing all right, all things considered.
Yes.
How about yourself?
Hanging in there. We keep
Yeah.
doing this.
Okay, so now, go ahead. I'm sorry.
We keep doing this, so I feel like people are, like I'm around people.
Yeah, it definitely helps, man. Because even if you have a family that you're around, you're around them all the time anyway.
Yeah.
So, you're not getting that friend contact and that, just kind of personal interaction that, and those of us that are comedians, there's a level of our social life that revolves around that as well.
Yeah.
To where, we sit in a green room and it's just this no holds barred place to be. It's a place that there's no rules and there's no subjects that are off limits. We can have honest and frank discussions about things. We can joke about things that we can't joke about out loud. And, I mentioned a while back how I miss the green room more than I miss the stage.
Oh,
and that's the truth, because, there's just only one group of people that really understands us.
Oh, gosh, yes.
And that's us.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, that's one of the things, when I got to work with you, it was up at the Benton Station up in Sauk Rapids.
Yep.
And I had more fun talking with you after the show than I did on stage. And
100%.
Just like you said.
That's how it is every single time, especially those types of shows.
Yeah.
Because those kind of regular one-nighters like that, they're like their own little beast.
Yeah.
And you don't get treated like a rock star at those often.
No, you don't.
You're more of a zoo animal.
Exactly.
But not in the sense that they're banging on the aquarium wall or something. More so, they're happy that you're there. They're happy with what you did. But after the show's over, you don't have anything in common with them, really.
Right.
You do on some level, but not. You can't. They want to interview you about comedy and find out how interesting it is, and that's great. And I can talk about that for an extended period of time with people. But when you talk about other shit with comics, it's a different thing.
Yes.
Like, we didn't talk that much about comedy, if I remember right.
No, we didn't.
Yeah. So, but there's just a point of view that we all have, or an outlook on life that we all have, that just makes those mundane conversations tolerable between us. That when we're on a couple's date or something, and the other couple's having the conversation, our eyes are glazing over, and we can't even stand to be there anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's So one of the things that I know, because obviously we're friends on Facebook, and I get to see your posts and stuff. I know during this time, you're out delivering for Grubhub.
Yeah, and a local pizza place.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
That's probably helpful to them more than the Grubhub. Yeah.
Well, those are my friends. That's actually why I'm doing it, because, Grubhub is a great way for a comic to make ends meet when times aren't going well anyway. So
yeah,
it's a good thing to have around right now. And the fact that we can't go out and do anything else, I'm not missing out on anything by working. So right. I'm just 7 days a week. I've been delivering food in some capacity for some amount of hours anyway throughout the day.
Yeah.
And it's making ends meet. We're not getting any unemployment. We're not getting anything. I got a stimulus check, but
That's good for.
What good does that do?
Yeah.
You know, but you know, I'm in a good position. I'm fine. I'm not hurting for anything because of stuff like Grubhub. And when my friends knew I was,
No,
when
I'll just interrupt you quick.
oh,
Sherry,
I'm sorry.
You're not the only one here. You're the only one on my page, maybe, or you're on Goonies. There are 6 other people there. Everybody that's watching, please feel free to comment, and we'll pop them up. But I don't want to interrupt Bill while he's talking. But we'll catch up after we get to the end of the thought.
John, have you ever had to take care of an elderly mother?
I have an elderly mother that lives down in Des Moines.
You sound like that's who you're talking to right now.
I work for a Visiting Angels outfit up here in Minneapolis, and I worked with dementia patients and Alzheimer's patients for 3 years.
That's 100% what you sound like. No, Sherry, you're not the only one here.
No, hon.
We're all here too. We all love you.
And Sherry, thank you so much for tuning in. And I hope you don't think I'm making fun of you, because I'm not. I really am not.
Me neither. I'm making fun of John.
I got to tell you though, Bill, it's funny. My mother lives down in Des Moines, actually in Urbandale. And it's an odd situation. All my sisters live down in the Des Moines area. I got one in Ankeny.
Yeah, I remember us talking about that now. I had completely forgotten. I for some reason I didn't the association I didn't commit to memory.
Yeah, of
course. I obviously remembered who you were the whole time, but
we only get to really talk that once.
Yeah, yeah, really.
So, and that's one of the things that I enjoy about doing this. Because just done with school online. Awesome. Well, I hope it went well. And that's one of the things. I've really enjoyed being able to kind of get in touch with people that I liked when I met them.
Yeah.
And then have an opportunity to talk and find out a little bit more about them. And like you said, it's a social thing. But I get to do it in front of a bunch of other people, and then they can watch it.
Yeah.
So
it's nice to find out somebody liked you too.
Yeah. Well,
that's always good to know.
Yeah. It's like, and just to be fair, all right, because I know how everybody is. Just because you haven't been on with me yet doesn't mean that I don't like you. Yeah. All right. I only want to do this one time a day. And so some people have asked me, some people I've reached out to, some people like I would have asked you. See, there's a lot of people that I don't ask because I don't think they would want to do it. And you asked me about the software I was using, and I'm like, absolutely, I'd love to have you on. So I'm glad that worked out that way.
Yeah, I like this thing. This is and can you pick the background back there?
Back there, I can. Let's see let's see what else I got in line.
So there's all kinds of stuff you can put back there.
Well, I have to upload them. I mean, so that we can have the stars. There's some stars, but that's not as good. Yeah. And we can have just some leaves, but I always like that because it seems like it's official. It makes me feel like I'm broadcasting on CNN.
It does. That's kind of what I was thinking. And then I can bring up setup looks like that. See, the first time you did that, it scared the shit out of me because I couldn't see you anymore. So which is cool because it's almost like having the mute button. You can. Except with the screen.
Well, yeah.
She can make it so I can't see you if you want to crank one off real quick or something.
Well, that's usually not how it works. But I mean, I'm usually picking my nose or something. It's like, I got a scratch, and then it's like, oh yeah, sweet, I can do it again. But no, it's. Is
that your actual fish tank though behind you, or is that another thing?
So here's the thing. Now I've been using StreamYard since it was in beta. Okay. Yeah. So it's been over a year for me, and I go out and I find out these little things. I'm like a tinkerer, if you will. And so I got a webcam, and it's not an expensive. Well, any webcams now are expensive. I just put up on Facebook that the camera that I got is now available. They opened up 10 of them on Amazon. There's only 10 of them. For $129, the third-party sellers are at $254, so they're gouging the shit out of people.
Yeah,
But I went and found this little thing that gamers use. It's called XSplit VCam. And I paid a one-time fee of, I think it was like $19, and it allows me to do a virtual green screen. And on the virtual green screen, what I can do is I can go to YouTube and I can take anything from there or any picture that I want to do and pop
put
it up
behind you.
Yeah. So what I've been doing is there's tons of live nature cams and that type of thing. So I've been putting those behind me, and it's like I try to do something different every day and try to find something different every day. I initially wanted to like have the camera showing like a busy square somewhere, but all of those cams are empty. You know, there's like one guy walking his dog.
If you're doing like a live nature cam, though, you're running a risk if you're running that live.
Well, yeah.
You know, those sharks. Like all of a sudden there's a shark attack behind you, or a couple mermaids come floating in, and
you never know.
You know.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you. I keep watching. So I have a live cam that they show a lioness, and I check it every day because I'm like, maybe she'll be doing something. And every day she's taking a nap, and it's in a different space. Just there, they get the camera on a lion laying there, and you can just see the stomach going up and down because it's breathing. But it's like one day it's just in the grass, and one day it's under something, and it's like But I still hold the fact. All right, so I got off on a tangent.
Sure.
There. So let's oh my gosh, here we go. Sherry's Sherry's a comedian in her own mind. Well, good. I mean, that's great. Sherry, you're awesome. So
we all are right now.
Well, everybody is. It's all virtual. So let me ask you this, because you're doing the delivery a lot. How are people treating you? Are you being tipped well now versus before? Or are there still some people that are just total dicks about it?
Well, I hadn't been doing it very long before. Grubhub had like a waiting time, so it took like a month, and I was only able to do it for like a month before that, and that's precisely why I did it, because as time goes on, if you're a comic who's just a guy that works and you don't have your own audience, you're not selling tickets, you're just a good comic that people know who you are, it gets you enough work to make a living. Well, that becomes harder and harder to maintain as time goes on. Right. So, you got to figure out multiple streams of income, and you got to try to find some other hustles, and that's what I was doing, thankfully, in the process when this happened. Yeah. So I was able to hit the ground running. I would say since the first week that it happened, I noticed that the volume of deliveries that I got hadn't really changed, but people were tipping better.
Gotcha.
And then in the last couple of weeks, it's been balls to the wall.
Gotcha.
And so, but I'm able to put in, as of yesterday, in 18 hours, I drove 6 hours a day as of yesterday. In 18 hours, I was over $500.
Wow.
So, and that's basically a 50-50 between fees and tips.
Wow. That's pretty good.
Yeah. So people are, and I've even had people, I've had people flag me down, like they're doing no contact deliveries now. A lot. And that's the majority of them now. You just put it on their doorstep and send them a text.
Yep.
Or knock, and walk away. I typically text because, maybe there's a sleeping baby or a dog they don't want to listen to go nuts or something, right. So it's easier. But anyway, so I had a lady run out of her house because the app, people should know this when you use Grubhub or any other service, the app tells us if you're tipping or not before we ever get your food, we know if you've tipped.
Yeah.
So if that says 0 right there, there's a good chance nobody's going above and beyond
for you.
And so if you are but now for me personally, I think of it a couple of different ways to keep myself from getting angry when that happens, because it's a very minority. I mean, there might be one person in any given day out of 20 that doesn't tip.
Gotcha.
Sometimes they do it because they understand the service industry and they tip cash when you get there.
Yep.
So if you're going to do that, I suggest leaving a note in the delivery instructions that says you're going to tip cash.
Gotcha.
Because not everybody's going to think like I do. And then the other part of that is, if I also assume that maybe it's a single mom, doesn't have a car, has to feed everybody. They've had to pay a little more money than they should to use everything and just whatever. So I try to think of it that way. And, that keeps me from going nuts. But it's hard when it happens to not in the back of your head think, you cheap motherfucker. If you can't afford to tip, you can't afford to use any of this shit.
Right.
So I had a 0 on one, and I was kind of stewing about it on the way there. And I went up, put it on the doorstep, and was walking back to my car to send the text. And this lady comes running out, waving her hands. She's pregnant, waving her hands, and says, "I was trying to watch for you," and hands me $20 through my window.
How awesome.
So then I got to spend the rest of the night feeling guilty about how I was an asshole to her in my head all the way to her house.
Yep.
So, thankfully that happens sometimes, and it rocks you back into perspective. And
absolutely.
And the good takes, that the small end of that is so far in the minority as compared to the people that go above and beyond, that it completely makes up for it.
Yeah.
So, you just gotta, but yeah, everyone's, just your own sense of right and wrong in your head, and you're as a human when you see that 0, because that you would never not tip someone, and you see that, and you just, most of us think people that don't tip are scum of the earth.
Yep.
And as comics, we have been in the service industry our whole lives.
Yeah.
Because that's who we're around. We're around waiters and waitresses and bartenders.
Absolutely.
And restaurant managers. That's who that's who we fit in with, because that's where the misfits work.
Yeah.
And we're misfits.
And we get to see how people treat those people.
Exactly.
And that's it. So here's Sherry. Are we both comedians? Well, yes, we are, both of us. Thank you for asking. And yes, you're correct. If you can afford to buy alcohol, you can afford to tip. For me, I just have always, I told this story early on because, I like to try to support people, and when I still felt comfortable driving before we had our stay-at-home order here, right?
Mm-hmm.
I ordered pickup from a place that I'd never been to, that was a little bit away from me.
Mm-hmm.
And I made my order and went at the appointed time that it was to be ready. And when I walked in the door, I scared the manager. Because first of all, it's me, but she said, and it was at 4:30, I believe. I asked to have it ready. At 4:30, she said, nobody else has been here yet the whole day.
Oh, wow.
Like, are you kidding me? And she says, it's going to be just a little bit before they get everything done. Would you like a drink or something? I'm like, yeah, well, and I've said this, I normally don't drink.
Mm-hmm.
But I was there and I'm like, yeah, you know what? Give me a Jack and Coke, because I'm going to be on quarantine or whatever.
Yeah.
And so she pours it for me and puts it down, and I'm getting out my money. She says, oh, don't worry about it. I don't even have the registers open.
Nice.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So then I'm like, I have to tip. I have
Have
to.
to tip well.
I want to tip her. And there's two guys in the kitchen. So it's
Yeah.
her and these two guys, and the only ones there. And I'm like, how? So I'm like, okay, I want each of you to have this, and then they bring it out. So then the food's ready, and he's like, okay, because I ordered soup because I'm an old man, right? So I ordered some wild rice soup, and she says, well, we gave you a quart instead of just a bowl because like that was the smallest amount we could make, so you might as well have it. I'm like, God, why? That's so nice,
Yeah.
and it's like so much food. And then I'm like, so they gave them that part first, and then I tipped them again because I just feel like, and I just wanted to hug them when I left.
I know. And
Because
that's been the hardest part for me is just my friends and I, we're very close, and so when we see each other, we hug it out, and especially if we're partying and drinking. I mean, we're handsy all night. I got friends that kiss me on the fucking lips when they're drunk.
Yeah.
We're just animals. So like, I that part of it's tough. I've had a couple of friends, have me deliver food to their house and stuff,
Yeah.
and it feels gross, and I haven't seen my son in over a month because, the last time he was coming to my house was the week the February 29th into the first week into March. That was the last time he was at my house, and so the next time he was supposed to be over, this had all started, and he lives with his mom and her grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't risk, with me out around people.
Oh yeah.
Delivering food and working at the pizza place. There's people coming in and out of there, and so I'm around people. I keep my distance and all that.
Yeah.
But I can't risk my son coming, taking it back to his house, to his great grandpa.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got one of my best friends who I spend a great deal of time with. He's got horrible asthma, and he's been, he's had to go to work. He just works at a warehouse, and he has to go to work. Of course, the CEO doesn't come, but the forklift drivers, they're there. And he's been trying to get me to come over. He's like, if I got to go to work, I can hang out with a buddy and blah blah blah. And I go, I'm like, man, if I somehow asymptomatically pass that on to you and it killed you because of your asthma, like, because our whole lives, he's been my friend since we were kids.
Yep.
Our whole lives, when he gets sick with anything, he's down for a week. I mean, dead to the world. I mean, back before cell phones and pagers, when you had to call somebody's house, you might as well. This dude might as well have been dead for a week.
Yeah.
And so I know that if something like this got him, he'd probably be in a lot of trouble. So,
oh yeah,
I'd never forgive myself for that.
Very understandable. All right, so let's talk a little bit about comedy, Bill.
Yeah.
You have been a comedian for a long time. When did you start, and what possessed you to step into this oddball persuasion?
Well, I started when I was 21. It's been 20 years.
Yeah.
Actually, it's been 20 years on the button as of, I guess, what's the date? The 15th?
16th.
So 4 days.
Wow.
4 days will be the 20th anniversary of my first time on stage.
Wow.
Yeah, that would have been awesome to celebrate, huh?
Yeah. with a show or something.
Yeah. So yeah, I was 21. That was 20 years ago. My sister went to school with Jeremy Danley.
Yeah.
Do you know him?
Yes, I do.
Jaredog was doing this show every 2 weeks on every other Tuesday, and if you rewind my life, when I was 10, I heard Eddie Murphy Delirious on audio tape.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like ear candy to me. I had seen Bill Cosby and stuff before that, but all I was really exposed to stand-up wise was Bill Cosby. Then I heard Eddie Murphy. And then when I was 16, I saw the George Carlin Jammin' in New York special, which to this day is my all-time favorite. And that right there was like, wow, this guy is like, it was like Jesus, finding Jesus, you know? Like,
oh, yeah.
I just felt like he was right and funny about everything he said. And as time went on, even if he wasn't necessarily right, it seemed like it at least made sense.
Yeah.
And anyway, I always thought being a stand-up comic would be the coolest job ever. In 5th grade, I tried it at a talent show at school.
Oh, wow.
I did a comedy thing with a friend of mine. We tried to do some sketches and stuff. So it was always something there, but it was never, especially in Des Moines, you know, it's just like everybody else. When they find out you're a comic, they think because they haven't seen you on an HBO special, it's not real.
Right.
You're a fucking garage band to them, you know. So and that's what you thought before you ever did it too.
Sure.
And that's the click moment when you do it and you get around enough people where you realize it's possible to do it for a living if you live your life the right way and never have anyone ever hear of you.
Yeah.
Then it's like, well, no holds barred at that point.
Yes.
But so anyway, my sister went to school with Jared Dog. He was doing that show every other Tuesday. I had just turned 21. And what's up, Dave? And I had just turned 21, and my sister was older than me, and they had been going to this thing every Tuesday night to watch him. And afterwards, he ran karaoke there.
Yeah.
And so they'd go to the show, and then afterwards, them and their group of friends at their table would play karaoke roulette, where what they did was you picked songs for each other when it was their turn, but you didn't know what the song was until you got up there. You just you had to do it no matter what it was. So I did that with them every night, every other Tuesday, and it was a blast. And, you know, I saw, you know, Jared Dog was the only comic that had different stuff ever.
Yeah.
And it wasn't necessarily that he was always trying. I mean, he was always trying different stuff, but it wasn't necessarily that he was always trying different stuff. It was that he had a half hour.
Yeah.
He knew what a feature act was supposed to do and what a headliner was supposed to do. And so he had that. And at these shows, he could do 5-10 minute chunks of that.
Yeah.
You know, and have a different set. While everybody else, it was the same 5 minutes, same 5 to 10 minutes. And there were guys that were better than others, but yet and still, same 5 to 10 minutes. And I watched this every single week for 6 months. And finally, my mom had a heart attack, and I found out the day we were going, I found out she was about to have a double bypass.
Oh, wow.
Like in the coming days, right?
Yeah.
So I started drinking when I got home. And so my sister comes and my brother-in-law come and pick me up. We go out there, and I'm just hammered. And Jared Dog was getting ready to move. So it was his last show.
Okay.
So he did like a half hour and did all kinds of silly shit.
Yep.
And so I walked up to the guy that ran the show in the back of the room. I'd gotten to know everybody a little bit. I was there every other week, you know. And I walked up to the guy in the back and was just like, give me 3 minutes. And he's like, he's what? And I go, I want to get up. I go, it's Jared Dog's last time. He's the one that made me think this was possible, so he should see my first time. And he's like, whoa, whatever, And I was very supportive of them. I was always there. I mean, so he was like, okay. And during karaoke, I clowned around all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So I went up and just started talking, and it felt good. People laughed. It wasn't like I had this set that I crushed with. It was just the initial get up there and try to be funny on purpose for a bit. And so that's what I did. And I only went up there for a few minutes. I made fun of another guy that was there every week with these work people who was just a fucking douche. And so I made fun of him. And then 2 weeks later, the next 2 weeks I spent actually writing.
Yeah.
And I did theater in high school for a little while. I did speech stuff. So I structured things kind of like a speech. I wrote things out over the course of that 2 weeks, and then before, like the night before, I made like a little set list, which at the time I thought was an outline for a speech. And they had a DJ tape, I don't know, there's like a DJ booth.
Yep.
And it had that little slanted, had all the controls, the mic, and had that little slanted panel. Gotcha. Where you'd set music and sheets, So I went up on stage to I had them play Stone Cold Steve Austin's music.
Nice.
And I went up and I slammed a beer and started walking around hyping the crowd up. And as I was doing that, I took my set list and put it on that thing where nobody could see it but me if I walked over there.
Gotcha.
And spent the next, I did 10 minutes. The first time he told me I was doing 10 minutes, everybody got 10 minutes. So I did the 10, and by my standards at the time, I mean, if I were to dig up that VHS, if it even exists anywhere anymore, it'd probably make me cringe.
Oh, yeah.
But I remember I remember not being able to take my eyes off it at first.
Yeah.
I watched that tape so many times. It made me feel like a fucking god amongst men, like you wouldn't believe that first time. It's a high that you chase forever, just like you're a coke addict.
Absolutely.
And so I did really well. Well, when I did it, I said to myself, I didn't understand comedy as a whole yet. I didn't really know. And so I told myself, I thought these guys, I thought every time you saw a comic on stage, it was new.
Yeah.
I thought it was, I thought every time was a different show. I thought this was just a guy who's so talented and funny he can just talk for that long about whatever. So I was like, well, I'm doing new shit every time. Every time I'm going to be the fish of comedy.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I'm going to be the guy that people never know what I'm going to do, and they're making set lists in the parking lot, and blah, blah, blah. So I'd say my first probably 10 or 20 times on stage, I didn't repeat a single thing.
Holy cow.
I shouldn't say 10 or 20. That's probably a fucking huge exaggeration now that I think about it. I would say, okay, so it was every 2 weeks. So I bet maybe around my first 10 shows.
Okay.
Maybe less, but that's not too terrible.
Yeah.
I did new stuff every time, and I did well every time.
Yeah.
Until I'd say about the sixth time, maybe. That was the first time I didn't do well. And by that time, I had done well enough up until then that I was addicted and that it didn't matter.
Yeah.
had that been the case the first time, I might have never done it again. But so I ate it that night. Well, I thought that was just an anomaly. I thought it happened because I got cocky. Yeah. And it wouldn't happen again. So it took me till about a couple shows after that to realize, and being around other comics and stuff, and realizing that, and if I actually wanted to do it for a living, if I actually wanted to work and get paid, I had to have this half hour.
Yep.
And I had to be able to put that half hour, send a tape of that half hour to people. Yeah. You know, so that's when I learned that I had to develop things that worked.
Then you started more on the structure of your set versus just making people laugh.
Yeah, and because the confidence, I guess maybe, I don't know, I hope this doesn't come off as arrogant, but my blessing and my curse, I think, with comedy was I was just naturally talented.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like, there's guys in the NBA that have never lifted a weight or never done anything off the court, and they're just that good. They're probably not the best players in the NBA, but they're in the NBA.
Yeah.
And so I was very confident and very smooth on stage, right away. But I was energetic. I was nervous energy. I mean, you've seen me. I don't even take the mic out of the mic stand, and I haven't probably in 15 years.
Yeah.
Unless it's required. But
gotcha.
You know, back then I was like trying to be heavy metal guy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And but I was still. I had a lot of the non-teachable stuff, I guess, that other guys have to learn, and it was the structure and the organization and the I guess the work ethic part of it that I'm still not that good at.
Gotcha. Sure.
But you know, I went through when you're in that addiction phase of it.
Yeah.
You're working your ass off and you don't know it.
Exactly. So Jerry's got a couple of questions here. Did you take any acting classes before you went on stage, Bill? I know I did not take any acting classes per se, but before I started doing stand-up, I was on stage and I was in the radio business. So I didn't take acting classes per se, but I had experience being in front of people. How about you?
My freshman and sophomore years of high school, I was in drama. I was in drama club. I did plays. We used to do this play. Well, it was a sketch show that we did every year called No Censorship.
Okay.
And we spelled censorship with an S because of the word satire. I had a drama teacher that wore Birkenstocks and socks, you know.
Oh, yes.
Before it was cool. And anyway, so that was the show. Well, it was 100% written and done by us, the cast. And it was great. It taught me so much about writing and energy and commitment that I took to stand up with me.
Yeah.
But I was also an athlete. I was a baseball player. And I couldn't stand the drama people. The culture of it all, everybody was acting all the time. I just wanted to do the show and then go play baseball or whatever. And these guys wanted to sit around and it's time for my close up, and, you know, act like that all the time.
Yeah,
and that drove me nuts. And baseball was way more important to me. So that's what I did. But after that, no, I never took any type of classes, or I never took a stand-up class. Nothing like Second City or anything like that.
Yeah. So you mentioned your high school drama club, and I know that you are very proud to be a graduate from North High School.
Oh yeah, I'm a big time proud polar bear.
I mean, I'll tell you what, you know, I am from I graduated from the hated Dowling
You son of a bitch.
See, I know. But I gotta tell you, the pride that you had just in talking with you when I met you in North High, and seeing all the stuff that you do for that school and help those kids. It's fantastic, and I just want to give you proper credit for that, because there's a lot of people when they graduate from their high school, they go on about their life, and that's it. But you, as I recall, are you in the Hall of Fame at North High?
Yeah. Sorry, this makes me emotional. Yeah, I got inducted 2 or 3 years ago, I believe.
Yeah.
Uh, that was a very emotional moment. But it's I got inducted. It was funny because my little sister is inducted and she went to Sadell, which is north of where I'm at. She's in the Athletic Hall of Fame there. And when I was in high school, my dream was obviously to be in the Athletic Hall of Fame. I thought, I was going to be a professional baseball player. Even after I graduated, I had it in the back of my head that I'd just keep getting better.
Yeah.
But anyway, I always thought, I always kind of wanted to be in both of them. Obviously I'm not in the athletic one. But somehow, the baseball coach nominated me, actually.
Yep.
And I was, at the time, I was working with the baseball team. I don't know about working with them. I was just, I didn't help them in practice. I just talked to them.
Yeah.
And I hung out with them, and I went to some games, and they were they were a team that lost, I think, 119 games in a row.
Oh man.
So the kids on that team that were seniors had never won a high school baseball game. Yet they were there. And I guess that personifies my pride in the school, because it takes a special person to lose that much and keep playing.
Absolutely.
Oh. Sorry about that, man.
No, don't be sorry, because it really is remarkable, and the fact that you cared that much about those kids, to be there, to talk to them, to encourage them, really means a lot. By the way, Sherry, want to know where it's at? North High School in Des Moines, Iowa. Bill's from Des Moines, Iowa. I grew up in Des Moines. I didn't know Bill because I think I'm probably a bit older than you.
Mm-hmm.
But just so you know, Sherry, I'm up in Minneapolis right now, and yeah, it's Bill and I got to work with each other in St. Cloud, Minnesota, and that was the only time I met him, and I really enjoyed him and talking with him, and so that's why we're doing this, and I do these shows every day, 1 o'clock. This one's off a little bit because I miscommunicated with Bill, and
I wouldn't say you miscommunicated.
well, let's just say that I'll take all the blame because I'm the one that's anyway. The point being, so that's what we're doing, and yes, that makes you what you are. It's a great, tremendous account of character, Bill. Absolutely. Also, Michael Callahan, hello to you. I got a text from you, and thank you very much. If you're still watching, I appreciate it. Buddy, and I'll text you back when we're done here. So, Bill, what
I was going to say is, it's for me. While it is about them, the kids as individuals. For me, it's it's a community thing.
Yeah.
It's you know, we go into adulthood with a chip on our shoulder
Mm-hmm.
that only happens when you grow up here, and you know, that chip's given me everything I have.
Yeah.
So it's kind of I want the whole community. You know, the reason the community is as poor as it is, and the reason it has stayed the way that it is it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right.
And they need to know that instead of acting like a piece of shit because the world thinks you are one, you should fight them.
Yeah.
Be like, no, you're the piece of shit. Like, you know, we always, and that's how, you know, that's how we were, and we just took it with us. We used to say, when I was playing baseball, we used to always say, and we said it about all of us, all the athletes in every sport. We were like, you might beat us on the field, but you're not beating us in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to be in the parking lot. They got the hell out of there.
Oh, I remember that. I remember that, Bill. Even when I was in a course of Dowling, you know, everybody wanted to kick the hell out of us anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
But my grandmother had a home on Southeast 7th. So I was.
You're a South Sider. Were you Catholic?
No, I'm sorry, East 7th, not South.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you were on the north side, basically.
Yeah. Grandmother. That's where my grandmother's house was. My father grew up there. My father lost his father when he was 6, and ended up going to Dowling and went to Drake University, got his degree there, and worked for a food broker for pretty much the rest of his life. And we had a home over in Urbandale by the country club because we were fancy.
Yeah.
But being a Catholic, my dad had 6 kids, so we weren't that fancy.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, and that's one
not
thing.
Fancy enough for latex.
That's that's right, Mom. If you're watching, don't worry, it's a little joke.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
I'm
don't
sorry.
be so. Bill, don't be sorry. My mom.
I'm sure they cuss like sailors. I know Catholics.
My mom watches the show every day and gives a grade. And I'm sure that she's going to overlook some of that out of the good stuff that you did with those kids at North. But oh my gosh! So a couple of the things. Let's see here. Hi, Sherry. Live near Rochester. Help some kids over. Yeah, you know what? What kills you doesn't make you stronger. That's absolutely correct, Sherry. And good work for you for doing that.
Well, you know, the main thing is. The main thing that I said to them when I talked to them and tried to impart, and on my own kids and everybody, is success is self-defined.
Yeah.
And your idea of it, the picture in your head of what that is can be anything, and that's for you to decide. That's not for society to decide. That's not for someone outside of your community to decide or someone in your community to decide. If it looks like if being more successful monetarily and you know, getting a better education and moving out of the community to a nicer community and you know, making sure your kids do the same thing and this, that, and the other thing, that if that's what success is to you and you're doing that and you're achieving that, then you are a success and you feel good.
Absolutely. But
if success to you means staying in your community, living within your means, but doing what you want to do, then you're also successful.
Absolutely.
It's whatever's putting your food on the table is making you happy, you're a success. It doesn't matter. It's not for someone else to decide.
Absolutely. All right. So, Bill, gosh, the time is flying by. So no, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I love it. So a couple of questions that I try to ask everybody is, first of all, tell me about the worst hell gig that you can remember.
Well, God, I mean, everybody always goes, oh, let's see that, you know, there's one that always is in my head. I think everyone has at least one that stays there. Yep. I think there's been worse either before or since then. I think it was my reaction to it that that makes it stick out. There was a club. Did you ever work for Kenny Moeller?
A couple of shows, yeah.
There was a club in Cedar Rapids called Jokers. It may still be there. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
It used to be in a different place. And basically what it was, it's a dance club.
Yep.
And they did comedy shows on Friday and Saturday nights. Well, the only reason they had comedy shows was so that when it came time for people to start dancing and all that, when they came into the bar, it wouldn't be empty.
Yeah.
Because when you walk into a dance club and all the music's blaring and there's nobody there, you think it's dead, you turn around and leave. So in order to have some type of atmosphere every time people walked in there that were there for that reason, and also people would come to the show and stay.
Yep.
So they had that, and that's why they did it. But the bottom line is they didn't give two shits about comedy. They didn't care about the show at all. It was all about having a bunch of people in there, keeping them in there, and spending money, which that is what it's about.
Yeah.
So they moved at one point to a place downtown where they had like a bar downstairs, it was more like a sports bar, TVs everywhere, but big open, party place. It's a college town.
Yep.
And the upstairs was the comedy club and the dance club.
Yep.
Well, you had to take an elevator to get up there. Mm-hmm. There was no other way up there, up or down. And it's one elevator. And it was Saturday night, and there was a bachelorette party, and there was about 40 of them. And the guy that, quote unquote, emceed the show, he didn't actually MC anything. He just went up and, gave coupons away and said the feature act's name, and then went up again, Well, this bachelorette party's got all these people, and he goes up right at the start, brings the bachelorette on stage, gives her a bottle of champagne, a whole bunch of stuff, and, says some stupid, cliche bachelorette shit. And they all go. She goes back and sits down. So the feature act goes up, who's actually a friend of mine, and he, he's doing whatever, but he spends, these chicks were trying to be the whole show, and he let them. He spent most of his time talking to them. Mm-hmm. And then he gives her a free t-shirt, does some other shit. And then the guy running the show goes back up on stage, puts a chair up there, puts a shot that's a blowjob shot in his crotch, brings the bachelor up, has her get on her knees and suck it out of his crotch so it looks like she's blowing him to everybody.
Oh, no.
And then he's bringing me up, and the bachelorette has now had, I don't know, an hour of stage time. And so I get up there, and of course they aren't going to stop. I ignored them. I got up there. I pretended that they weren't. I pretended they were there as an audience, but I didn't pretend they were special.
Yeah.
Well, that eventually pissed them off. So they stopped paying attention, and they're just jibber jabber. And they're so loud. There's like 40 of them. They're over half the crowd, or at least half the crowd.
Oh God.
And so I stop, and I'm nice to them. I ask, I tell them thanks for coming, blah blah blah. But it's not about you. I've got a whole audience here, for jokes. They don't want to hear me talk to you. Everybody's been talking to you for an hour anyway.
Yeah.
And blah blah blah, and then they start up again, and one of the girls, I'm sure it's the maid of honor. The maid of honor is always the bitchiest. The bachelorette's usually crying at some point. The maid of honor is the one throwing a fit.
Yeah.
And so she starts saying some shit, and finally I get, then she tells me I'm not funny or something like that. And or no, she goes, hey, Danny was funnier than you or something. And I go, good. Buy his T-shirt on your way out. Like, I don't care. It's not his fault. You're an idiot. Like, and I said something about you're too fucking stupid to get any of my jokes anyway. Like, I don't care if you don't like me.
Oh man.
So then I move on, and all of a sudden I see a coaster flying at me out of the corner of my eye. It's just a paper cardboard, but it doesn't hit me, but it like. So now she's throwing shit. So now like its gloves are off. So I snap on them, you know.
Oh no.
But I'm just like, you know, I go, look, I know you think I suck. And that's fine. You're entitled to that opinion. It's okay. In fact, I would be more concerned if you did like what I was doing. But honestly, like, if I suck that bad, why are you still here? Like, if I am like a problem, if I was sitting at a show and it sucked, I would leave. Like, I don't understand why you're still here. So they start leaving, and I'm just like, because eventually I'm like, fuck you, I'm not doing anything. I ain't saying another word until they're gone.
Yeah.
So they all start leaving. Well, I told them while they were leaving, I said, no, I'm not doing any more jokes till they're all out of here. Well, there was 40 of them.
Oh God.
So I waited for all 40 of them to about 4 or 5 at a time get on the elevator and go down.
10 elevator trips.
Yeah. Probably took 10 to 12 minutes.
Oh my God.
And I got banned from that room after that. And
let it be a hell gig.
And that's how that ended. I got a phone call from Kenny on Monday, and he goes, "What the hell happened?" And I go, Kenny, I was like, "Are you aware of how poorly that room is run?" And he was like, he goes, "Yeah, but you don't open that can of worms on stage." And I go, "I didn't open the can of worms on stage. I exposed it, for what it was." And I remember, the other thing I remember about it was once they all got off when they all went downstairs.
Yeah.
The rest of the crowd had pretty much turned on me at this point because I was being such a prick. And this girl goes, "Boo to you." And I go, "Boo to me?" I was like, "What the fuck, boo to me?" And she goes, "Yeah, a good comedian would have made that funny." And I go, "Good comedians won't come here." I was like, "I'm the best you're ever going to get. This is as good as it's going to get in this place."
Oh my God. I just love it.
It just reeks of desperately wanting to headline.
I just love it so much, Bill. Oh my gosh. And you're talking about, so when you mentioned it initially, I'm like, I don't think I've been there, but what Joker's in Cedar Falls.
Did I say Cedar Rapids?
Yeah, that's what threw me off.
Falls. I'm sorry, I meant Cedar Falls.
But I did that a couple times, and it's always, I mean, that's not the only club in the country that does it that way. Like, I did a Tribble run, and there's a club in Idaho Falls that has comedy before the dance too. And the cool part about it is a lot of people come that don't care about the show because it's $7 to get into the comedy show and $10 to get into the dance club. So a lot of people come in like right at the tail end.
Oh, God.
That don't give a rat's ass about
That's
it.
That's even worse than a check drop.
Oh, dude, it's the worst.
Wow.
And so you got it about 10 minutes before. You got all these people flooding in because $3 is a drink in Idaho Falls. But anyway, oh my gosh. Just kidding. Well, Bill, we're at an hour already. Can you believe it? I really appreciate you. Well, dude, it's fun to talk with you. And I do want to say this too, which is one of the nice things about you. I know when I work with you as a headliner, you are the only guy who ever has said at the end of the show, "Please buy John Russell's stuff before you buy mine." And you know what? That is so nice, and it just made me feel good. And I can't remember if anybody bought anything or not, but it doesn't make any difference because it's just that effort and recognition that you gave to me, and I'm sure you do to other people, that really means a lot and makes you stand out as a guy that people like to work with.
I appreciate it, man.
You
Yeah,
know.
it's it's something I did at one point. It comes from a sincere place.
Yeah.
I understand that when I'm headlining a show in you know Superior, Wisconsin, and the feature act is from about the same distance away as me.
Yep.
I know that he spent all the same money to get there and made half of what I made.
Yeah.
And while I didn't make a lot, it doesn't affect my sales to say that.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Nobody buys less of my stuff because I say that. But people do buy more of the feature acts when I say that. So to me, it's not like I do it at great risk to myself. It comes off sounding that way. And when I did it the very first time, and when I started doing it on a more regular basis, I just noticed. I didn't know that it wouldn't affect my sales. I said it because I knew I wouldn't sell nothing and still come out ahead and be fine.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I didn't expect it to not affect it at all. But I've noticed over time that it doesn't.
Yeah.
And it just helps the overall, I had me and my buddy John Bush had a podcast for a while, and, we've talked about bringing it back, and we probably will at some point, but we had this retired Methodist preacher on, and we obviously just talked about religion almost exclusively. But he said something that stuck out to me because I'm not a religious guy. I'm not an atheist, but I'm not religious either. I'm agnostic. But he said that I was trying to say to him, I had a friend who is one of those guys who thinks if you don't believe in God, you're going to hell, just automatic. If you haven't accepted Jesus Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, you're going to hell. And it doesn't matter what you did before you accepted him either. Or after, just the fact that you have, right? And if you haven't done that, you're going to hell. And, he says this to me, and I go, dude, so like the Buddhist monks in Burma that were burning themselves to protest the fact that the government wasn't giving people their food rations, those guys are going to hell for that? Like, that's the most sacrificial, selfless thing I've ever seen in my life. And, they got it. And I go, so you think I'm going to hell? And he goes, don't make me say that, because he is a great guy, nice guy, honestly. And I'm just going, wow, this is such a weird. So I brought that up to this guy as we were interviewing. And he goes, yeah, that's just stupid. He's like, so somebody like Anne Frank is going to hell, And so, I really liked this guy. But he said, he just said, no, God is love. He goes, God is about, he goes, there's enough room in the world for all religions. It doesn't matter. It's about the worship. It's about the, but what he said that stuck out is he said, it's about contributing to the sum of human happiness.
Yeah.
And that's how I look at things now. Kind of ever since.
It
because
really is.
You don't really see the effects. Stand-up comedy, maybe I've done it in a way, in a subconscious way, and to be therapeutic, because stand-up comedy relies on instant recognition, and it relies on, that it's right there all the time.
Yep.
And everything else in life isn't like that. And if that's the only thing in life you can find joy in, it's probably going to screw up a lot of shit. So I guess that subconsciously I found a way to believe that I can do things that contribute to the sum of human happiness.
Yeah.
And even though I don't see those results in real time, I feel like I'm doing it.
Yeah. That's a great attitude.
Well, talking to you probably made that connection in my head, right? That's the first time all that's ever come out of my mouth.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I mean, it's I mean the sum of human happiness thing. I mean, I take that in a lot of places, but it's I think that I think I just realized right now that it was happening, maybe.
Well, I'm glad I had a part of prodding you that way, right?
Yeah.
Well, gosh, Bill, I got to tell you, it's been fantastic talking to you and catching up a little bit. I really, truly appreciate you taking this time to talk with me.
Absolutely.
And I look forward to crossing paths with you again sometime. Is there any websites, anything like that you want to plug before we go?
Well, I mean, everything, BillBlank.com's always got if you want to go look at my empty schedule, you can click on there. I mean, it's got the links to the social media on there. Facebook, Twitter, at BillBlank1 on Twitter. You can find me through there. If you go to the website and buy a T-shirt, that would help me. That would help my cause. So there's a icon up on the menu where you can buy a T-shirt. So that would help. But other than that, we're all doing the same thing, just trying to keep our sanity as much as we can.
We are,
and hope this actually does get over. We all keep saying when this is over. Well, I'm gonna wait to. I'm gonna maybe stop saying that.
yeah. Because we don't know.
No. But there's so much money in the world that I just can't imagine. I mean, college football and stuff like that. I mean, I can't imagine that.
It's unbelievable. By the way, also a huge Iowa Hawkeye fan. I graduated from there in 1984. I am behind you 100% all the time when I watch you doing your during the game tweets.
I decided this year to do nothing but blame the refs. That was my theme on Twitter this year. I told myself at the beginning of the year, I did it with basketball more than football. In football, I'll blame the team when I can really see it, but I tend to lean to the refs too. But with basketball, with all the injury, everything that happened at the beginning of the year, the injuries and what they were trying to overcome.
Yeah.
I told myself they had given me so much joy just winning at all.
Yeah.
That I was like, I'm not blaming these players for a goddamn thing that happens this year. They will not lose a game on their own, is in my brain. So all I did all year was talk shit about the referees, and it makes me look like a fucking baby. It makes me look like an idiot, and I don't care because it's a blast. I have so much fun just acting like the referees aren't human beings.
Oh my God. I love it. I love it. All right, my friend. Thanks again for taking the time.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Stay safe out there when you're delivering food to people. That's frontline business there. So I appreciate
that's right. I'm
that
a goddamn hero.
You are a hero. Hy-Vee says you're a hero. Hy-Vee says you're a hero, baby.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right, man. Take care of yourself, Bill.
You too. Let's do this again.
We will. We sure will. Folks,
all right, man.
Tomorrow at 1:00, we got the trifecta with Andy Fisher and Logan Nielsen. We'll talk with you all soon. Thanks for watching.